on to other witnesses because we didn't finish the president's testimony the night before, so how is this any different?
Oh, well, I wasn't here yesterday, so he can do that.
Can you repeat that, Senator Bennett?
Yesterday, we moved on to other witnesses because the president was not present. So how is tonight any different, moving on to other witnesses as we've done before?
All right then. So is there a second to Senator Ramsey's motion? Second by Senator Donnelly. There's an objection by Senator Osei.
The only reason why I'm objecting, because if he's looking for the minutes, who's taking the minutes?
No, okay. I have a lot of questions. Number one, what date are we looking for these minutes? The first hearing? Like when this whole thing started?
What's happening right now is there's a dispute over whether a witness can be called because
I don't think the
the
chairman made an official
president
decision at that
did not
point, so I don't believe it's in there. At least it's not.
request
I have
that
the impeachment meeting.
the witness come
Well, it
up in
happened
a
during
proper
an approach up
time
to the
frame.
bench to
I don't take
speak
minutes
with him,
during the
so,
approach.
yeah, that's not part of the minutes.
So that's why we're asking, can you pull
I
up?
ask, I would motion
The recording doesn't
for
hear that
2
either.
minutes, actually a 5-minute recess until we can figure out whether or not we have to.
Point of order.
Yes.
Is there a motion still on the floor?
Yes. The motion has been objected to.
Point of order. Therefore, there's a motion, a second, and an objection. There can't be another
So
motion.
now we're in debate over whether or not, no, we're not debating over whether or not to recess. We're in debate over Senator Ramsey's motion. Is there any debate points? Senator Marcelin. Senator Ramsey has a debate point. Too much side chatter, yes. We're in debate over the objection.
Can you still look for the?
Point of order. No back and forth.
Yes, Senator McCracken.
Well, I can look at the minutes and find it for you guys while Joe types the minutes, and the president can call their next witness, so we can actually be, a functioning essay.
Any other debate points? Senator Secretary Blesick?
I just checked the minutes. They're not in there because, like they said, this was when they approached the bench, and I'm not responsible for taking minutes when they're at the bench. Because one, I can't hear them. Two, the live stream can't hear them. And three, it's not everyone else's. To my understanding, it's not everyone else's input on what happened.
Any other debate points? Senator McCracken?
So it's not there.
So, in regards to the witness that is not being allowed to be called at the moment, the chairman has made his ruling, and his ruling is that that witness will not be called. Therefore, I believe we should move on to the next witness, and that's it. We're not skipping anyone, we're just moving to the next one that the chairman is allowing. The only reason another witness would come on is, I guess, a motion to appeal, which I'm not doing, but I think we should move on to the next witness.
All right, any other debate points?
A motion to call the objection.
There's been a motion to call the objection to question. You rescind your objection? Okay, so Senator Ramsey's motion was for the president to move to the next witness. There was a second. Is there any objections? Seeing no objection, that motion passes. Madam President, can you move to the next witness?
Thank you. We just need the mic on there. Thank you. This is play nice.
Does anybody have a paper towel?
I have Saturday.
Who is the next witness, Madam President?
What's
I'd like to call the Board of Finance Chairman. He was listed in the documentation, he was witness to
Objection,
this.
he's not a witness on the witness list though.
You could respond.
So I was told, and it was told that all the documentation that was used, seeing as we are questioning some of the documentation inside the statement, that is why we're calling him.
Again, he wasn't put in the
Yes,
witness
Senator
list that
Ramsey.
was sent to us.
Does the Board of Finance Chairman want to testify willingly, or does it have a subpoena?
Do you have a subpoena for the Board of Finance Chairman?
So actually, according to the Supreme Association bylaws and Constitution, the only people who are allowed to do subpoenas are the Supreme Court, which is why we wanted to have the Board of Finance testify, because he subpoenaed individuals against the Constitution.
Chairman Salazar, are you willing to be a witness?
My testimony is a report.
Senator that Chairman Salazar is not willing to be a witness.
We would like to call the vice chairman,
The vice
the
chairman,
vice chairwoman, sorry.
you can make a motion.
Subpoena Chairman Salazar right now.
He's not in the list.
Only the secretary.
Only the Supreme Court can.
Point of order.
Yes, Senator McCracken.
Point of order. Senator Amsterdam has the time.
Yes, he does.
No side chatter.
Yes, he does.
I'm asking the public, I have a point of information, parliamentarian, Chairman, are we allowed as a consent body, our courts to subpoena someone to testify in front of us on the spot? It's a point of information.
So the Constitution, is it section 5? Section 5, subsection 4 says, the Supreme Court of the Student Association shall have the sole power of subpoena. Subpoenas may be issued to any regular associated member of the Student Association for the purpose of participation in judicial proceedings. So the Supreme Court has the sole power to subpoena. Alright? So, that was not on the witness list. We asked Chairman Salazar was willing to be a witness. He said no. So you asked if Vice Chairwoman Donnellan was willing to be a witness.
She's not on the list.
Senator Donnellan, would you be willing to be a witness?
I'm unsure.
That is true.
Point of order. You shouldn't ask people if they should be witnesses because you didn't do that for the other witness that the president just called. You shouldn't be asking people.
But yes, you did.
That's submitted.
But their names are not on the witness list. Their names are not on the witness list. So I am trying to assert what best to do here. I think the best course of action is to go off the people we had on the witness list, Madam President.
With that being said, then can I request that the Supreme Court subpoena Crystal Francis as she was on the witness list, but the list wasn't sent to the hearing manager?
I'm motion to appeal the chair's decision.
Um, 500.6.1 talks about financial review and says to fulfill its purpose and responsibility, the Student Association Board of Finance shall be empowered to investigate all financial matters of the Student Association. To facilitate this, the Board of Finance shall have the ability to subpoena Student Association financial documents and witnesses.
So I have a question. Wait. So I have a point of information.
So what is the motion to appeal my decision on what? There is a lot of side session on the Senator Ramsden has a motion. Wait with the mic.
I motion to appeal the chair's decision on not letting Crystal Francis testify.
There's been a motion. There's been a motion to appeal my decision. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Garcia. Any objection? There's objection by Senator McCracken. Now we are on debate over whether or not we should appeal my decision. He's going to state the nature. I just say that for clarification. He will state the nature.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So here we go again, Senate. We're dragging this out. We are trying to get this trial going. I'm very upset because I feel like every time we walk in this room, we're about to be productive and then we're going off about something else. There's a witness list, period. 1 second, let me say that again. There's a witness list, period. We need to get this trial going. The students are waiting. Let's call witnesses that are on the list. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator McCracken. We're moving on now. We're in debate over whether or not you should appeal my decision. Senator Conway.
Hey everyone, there keeps being claims that the Student Association Senate isn't being fair. To mitigate and weaken those claims, we should allow as many witnesses as she would like. So I would urge senators to allow the witness and to move on.
Any other debate points? Senator Osei. There's been a motion to call the objection to question. So, A is to appeal my decision. B is to keep my decision. C is abstain. The vote is over.
Point of information. What was your decision? Was it to not have any more witnesses?
No, to not allow Ms. Francis to be a witness.
That was not on the submitted list.
That is the decision based that she was not on my witness list. A is to appeal my decision. B is to keep my decision. C is abstain. This will be open until. So I am closing it in about 5. This vote is closed. The vote is 16-23-2. My decision is upheld. Yes. Okay. Any questions? Now, moving on to the next witness. Do you have a question for me? You want to approach the bench? All right, approach the bench. Ms. Hans, the officer approach Mr. Bell. Who is the president's next witness?
We call President Chinkarati to stand.
Isn't the president
Yeah, she's not their witness, she's our witness. Both opposing sides can call witnesses, that's what happened before they questioned me, I was never. Okay.
Because we didn't finish our questioning.
You did not.
You had a moment a question. No, let them
That
go
wasn't,
with
first of all, that wasn't a rule set in that, at that time. At that time it was not
They
set.
can call the president, it's fine. To be fair, they could call her and question her as well. Since we did,
Okay,
question
so the
her. president
president has chosen to call herself, so then she will be the first witness. So then, I'm not sure, because if she was originally the impeachment manager's witness, would then you get to ask the questions first?
So we also haven't technically finished our original
That's my confusion here. There is too much side chatter.
as well as she
Point
was
of order,
not.
Tony, something out of order.
Okay, that is true. So the council wants to come up because I am legitimately confused at this moment.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, Senator Agama.
Okay, just for clarification. You're asking, you're asking
No, her counsel will be asking
Yeah.
questions.
Yes, the president was a witness originally on the impeachment manager's side.
point of inquiry.
Yes, Senator.
We have this to talk, right?
Pam has said that we, okay, yes, all right.
They can call her the impeachment manager is
Yes.
fine.
So my question is, would you go first in the questioning or her, or the president, given that she was your witness?
Given that she's our witness, if we were gonna call her anyways, we'd have to ask her questions, and then her side would ask her questions anyways.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they wanna call her up first and have her answer the questions, then we'll just ask her questions afterwards and finish up our questioning. But she can't be questioned again by them after we finish our questioning.
Since they're calling her, it makes sense for them to question her first because they're calling her to the witness stand.
All right, come on.
We have an agenda.
Only counsel can approach the bench though.
Oh, yeah.
One of my councils are missing, so I texted them.
No,
They've got two counselors.
Yeah.
No.
Point of order, back and forth. Been a point of order by Senator Conway. Point of order. I ask that you be quiet, please. I'm trying to conduct this as fairly as possible, which is why it's taking longer than usual. Please show the Senate Chairman some respect. Thank you. All right.
Objection? Nobody objects?
But they are So, you want to confer with your counsel and then you can come up?
For those of you just turning in, right now the President, D. Giancardi, is about to testify. She would be the last witness to testify. Right now there's a dispute going on between the impeachment managers and the President's counsel about whether the impeachment managers get to continue questioning her. Because if you'll remember from 2 sessions ago, the impeachment managers were questioning D. Giancardi, but we had to table that because we ran out of time. So now they're asking to reclaim their time and continue questioning her. The President's counsel has also requested to question the President. Technically, this wouldn't normally be allowed because she is the impeachment manager's witness, meaning that they called her to question, not her own counsel. So it looks like the impeachment managers may allow President D to testify to both of them on the condition that they get to reclaim their time. Right now, you can see right over there, they're discussing with the chairman, Nicholas Chin, about what to do. This is made all the more stressful by the fact we technically only have this until midnight. All right, and now we are recessed for 2 minutes. Now is the time for any questions you have. Please use them in the comments. We are currently in a 2-minute recess. I'll answer as many as I can in the short period of time we have. Ask any questions you may have. Now is the time. When are they voting? That is the question everyone's asking. They were hoping to vote tonight, but with how things have been delayed and how long it took us to get to trial, I don't know if it'll happen tonight. What they need to get through first before voting is they need to hear the president's testimony, and then they need to debate on it, the Senate as the jurors, because they act as the jurors. they need to testify, or they need to debate it, and then they'll make their vote. With 14 witnesses on the list, how many did they get through? They have gotten through all of them, except for one. They got through a majority of them last night at a special session, which was live streamed here. And now the final witness is President Deachin Carty. President Carty was called up to start testifying 2 sessions ago last week, but due to time constraints, she wasn't able to finish her testimony. So now they need to finish her testimony tonight, and that's what's currently being debated upon right now. That's why we're in recess, because the chairman needs to decide whether she's going to continue her testimony. These are good questions, everyone. Keep them coming.
Right off the bat.
Hi, James. Hello, Zach. Yes, sir. And the myth. If a vote doesn't happen tonight, when is the next potential session to do so? So that depends on the chairman and his executive committee, what they decide. 36. What? So if the vote doesn't happen tonight, when is it due? That's on the chairman's discretion. He could call a special session for tomorrow night, but it's unlikely, in my opinion, that he'll do so. So we may have to wait until next week, which the chairman does not want to do. But with how long it took us tonight, it's looking likely. The chairman wants to get this through as soon as possible so we can get a verdict. How strong is the evidence against her so far? So I'm not going to inject my personal opinion on that. But I would recommend asking any of the senators their opinion. It's important to note that there are 2 charges brought up against her currently. One is abuse of power, and the other is neglect of duty. Abuse of power would be how she used her funds, and then neglect of duty would be the way in which she went about using them. I'll give you my little personal opinion here. I think the case is much stronger for neglect of duty, but it could go either way. What has delayed the process tonight? So we did have executive reports tonight, which basically means all of the directors in the executive branch of Student Association. So that's like the director of Sustainability and Health, director of DIPIKIL and all that, had to give their reports and say what they're doing. That hasn't happened in past sessions. Get it going quick. And then in addition to that, there's a little altercation. In addition to that, we also had to do some routine votes on club funding, and so that takes some time up. So what was the hearing that people were talking about earlier? Much earlier, they were discussing whether 2 different witnesses could be brought to the stand. Those witnesses were disputed because they were each side has to request the witnesses, and the president did not request those witnesses by the deadline. So they were disputing that, whether they should bring those witnesses to stand even though they weren't submitted by the deadline. And it was ultimately decided that they would not be brought to testify. Now the discrepancy is whether the president will testify again and continue to be questioned by the impeachment managers, and whether she will be questioned by her own counsel. And it looks like the executive board has reached a conclusion about that. Will there still be a vote tonight? Again, as I've said, that really depends on how quickly we get through the testimony and then the debate. Before that, much earlier, something about a lawsuit. So that's another ongoing matter. I guess the president and her counsel have brought a lawsuit through the Student Association Supreme Court, not real court. Not, federal court or anything like that, against the Senate as a body, claiming that the Senate as a body is biased against the president in this impeachment trial. Why'd you? All right, so the executive committee has reached a conclusion. So I'm going to turn off comments again. If you do have any pressing questions, use the question feature. It is enabled, but comments will not be until the next recess.
So I'm exceedingly frustrated, and I hope everybody else shares my frustration. Since we got into old business to do this impeachment bill, it's been at least like 40 minutes that we've wasted time and made zero progress. So can we wrap up with the witnesses, do our debate, make a decision? I want this to be a fair trial, but we have made zero progress. This is wasting time at this point. This is the most frustrated I've been in Senate so far. That's all I have to say.
Madam President, can you call your next witness?
Tyreek Johnson, please.
Mr. Johnson, you will get 3 questions.
Can the Chief Justice also approach with the Constitution?
Yes, Mr. Justice, and you want to...
I have a question.
All right, so it looks like they're going to be bringing up some of the witnesses that testified yesterday to retestify tonight. They were not able to be questioned by the president last night. I guess she was not present.
Microphone, Braden. Microphone.
Microphone.
Would you please state your name?
Tyreek Johnson.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please state your name and position in the student association. Yeah, but let's leave the mic there.
One more time.
State your name and your position in the student association.
My name is Tyreek Johnson, and I am the Director of Intercultural Affairs, #DRIP.
Madam President, you begin. Remember, you have 8 questions.
Oh wait, I thought we weren't limited. I thought we just said.
No, 8
Okay.
questions.
First question, are you aware of the items going missing in the Student Association office, and can you list or name any examples, or if it's common practice?
Remember, it goes through chamber. Are you aware of any items that have gone missing in the student association office, and can you provide any examples?
Yes.
Is it? Press the bottom.
That's what happened.
Hold it.
There you go.
Technology. Okay. Yes. Items have frequently gone missing in the office. It's almost like every week I'm seeing a text in the group me. Hey, does anybody know where this is? There was a lab coat. There was a MacBook charger. It's just continuous.
Okay. Would you say that multiple people use the office of the president, and would it be fair to say that the office of the president is currently a space that is open to all and beneficial to the student body?
Madam President, I think you're asking 2 questions at the same time.
Oh.
You have to break them up one by one.
Okay. Is it fair to say that the office of the president is an open space, is a space that is open to all, that serves a benefit to the student body and the members of the student association?
Is it fair to say that the office of the president is open to all?
Yes.
Open to all and benefits all the students,
Elaborate, yeah.
all the student association. You get that?
Yeah, elaborate.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Can you elaborate on that?
Is that, that's an elaboration?
Well, no, he doesn't. Elaboration?
That the witness have answered the question,
So
he
that's
may
another
answer in whatever fashion he chooses to answer the question.
Okay. Being that you just said that the office is beneficial to the student body, would you say that it is necessary to have furniture, office supplies, and other instances that decorate the school, that demonstrate school pride, such as colors? And please elaborate on your response.
Would you say that it's fair to have office furniture that are school colors and elaborate on your response. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
The
wait, can I-
questions are just kind of woody and I'm trying my best to.
So, okay,
be questions.
so would you like me to reword it then? 'Cause-
Yes, please. It's kind of woody.
Okay, so following up from your last question where you said that it's an open space, would you say that it is necessary or inviting to have furniture, office supplies that demonstrate school pride?
Yeah, answer that.
Yes, I would say that that's needed. I mean, seeing as the office is like a see-through window, you know, we're always having like purple and gold stuff in that little like lounge area. We're always pushing purple and gold. I would see like to have purple and gold merchandise. I wouldn't want us to have like, you know, green and white like we're not Oswego. So.
There's been a point of order too much side chatter that is sustained.
Is it common to have food at staff meetings, bonding, such as Dippy Kill and other meetings? Please elaborate.
Is it common to have food at staff meetings and other meetings? Please elaborate.
Yes, I would definitely say that's common practice on different groups and different boards and committees and everything that I'm a part of. There's always like complimentary, like, you know, refreshments or anything done at certain like meetings that are just in compromising a large group of people. Everything, if you're planning an event or anything, it's kind of like you always cater to your people, you know? So I would definitely say that's common practice around like, from my experience of what I've seen of different groups.
Okay. So
You have 4 more questions.
previously, the student association took the staff to Dippy Kill. On that trip, if you recall, the food was bought from Walmart with the president, the comptroller, and the community engagement officer. With that being said, based on that trip with to Walmart and the Indian food that was purchased, would you say that the comptroller, vice president, and the vice president agreed to the use of SA funds, that the SA agreed to, wow, sorry. So based on that trip with the comptroller and the president, would you say that the use of SA funds to enhance experiences for staff, such as food, oh my gosh, sorry. Would you say that the vice president and the comptroller have previously agreed that student association funds can be used for staff funding such as food, and that this was uncommon or unprecedented? Please elaborate.
You sure you can't say it again? Because I kind of was
I
waiting.
want to say it. I have to understand.
I read it.
Do you have it? Secretary may have it to be able to read it.
Previously, SA took the staff to Dippy Kill based on the trip to Walmart, which you said the vice president and comptroller agreed that they can use funds for food and staff bonding. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Did you get the question, Mr. Johnson?
I did get that, and my answer will be yes. I do believe that that is common practice. I would definitely say that if those parties were all present, and I didn't from me being present there, I didn't see any objection to like the purchase of the stuff. There was no like argument. Everybody was kind of like with the same program. So I believe like if there was anything like people weren't agreeing and disagreeing on one side, there would definitely like I would have seen that. That would have been made known. The stuff most likely would not have even been at Dippy Kill.
Next question. You have 3 more.
Is it uncommon in the student association to have items such as tea, milk, coffee, cups, plates, etc.?
It's uncommon to have items such as tea, milk, cups, etc. in the office.
No, I don't think that's uncommon in most office settings and spaces that I see. There's always like a coffee maker, a tea thing on the side in the kitchen. There's always like plates. I personally use the plates and stuff for like my meetings that I have for like the cultural orgs and everything. So.
Okay. When looking at the bylaws, do you think that the president abused, or to your knowledge of the bylaws and to the best of your ability, do you believe that the president abused her power or neglected her duty?
Objection.
Yes.
To what? This question goes to the ultimate issue. You can't have a witness testify to what's being tried in trial.
They did that previously with the comptroller and the vice president.
Let us come up. Yeah, and I have to disregard If that is the case, then I'll reconsider my decision. That's the case.
The 19th. I'm checking the 19th. The okay, I have it. So the impeachment managers asked, do you think that taking the credit card out of the office is a neglect of duty? And then the comptroller answered about how it's on a circumstance basis because a party city doesn't take POs anymore, so he takes it out of the office for that upon counseling, upon meeting with his counsel. And then the next question, that was their 18th question, their 19th question and final question was, is this neglect of duty? And then
Is what a neglect?
I think it was like a follow-up.
Yeah, was it a general? No, was it?
I don't remember for sure. What I have down is this and neglect of duty, so I'm assuming.
Can you also take the vice president, please?
Oh,
Yeah. Hold on. I don't have a clue what you're asking.
Can you start the minutes? Can you start the minutes?
Yeah, I just did that. I'm out of order.
I can do other questions.
Did he testify? No, he didn't testify. Okay, that's fine.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so when the vice president testified, the impeachment managers asked, was the president's chief staff in your office? Yes. And then the next question was, do you think this is a neglect of duty to not follow PR procedures? And
Point of inquiry, what's the chairman's decision?
My decision is that when they asked about neglect of duty to the comptroller, they asked about a specific event. They asked about not filling out the PR process. They did not ask the general neglect of duty of the president in statute. So given...
Point of inquiry.
Yes, Senator.
Sorry. So, let me just finish up thought, actually.
That is so my concern here is that they asked a specific question relating to a specific event. They did not question the president, the comptroller's entirety. They did not ask him, do you think the president neglected her duty? They asked him, do you think a specific action she did neglected her duty?
So now,
which is why I'm confused about this question, which is asking Mr. Johnson, do you think that she abused the power of that duty? That is two different questions. Yes.
So is your decision to not allow the question?
I'm meaning either right now, that is my decision.
Can I appeal?
Yes.
So the questions that was asked by the senators that you denied, like, was it like specific or in general?
The question that I denied when it came to neglect of duty and abuse of power. But I'm confused in your questions that I was saying. Yes. Yes, a lot of the reason I get into questions has been relatively consistent. And I would hope the impeachment managers and the president's legal counsel would agree with that. There have been lots of other questions that have specifically asked, has the president neglected duty and abuse of power by other parties? And I have ripped those up. So and senators can attest to that, I have done that. So to stay true to my consistency, I'm going to do the same here. If you guys want to appeal that decision and neglect the consistency that I have made.
Point of inquiry.
I'm sorry, Senator Kraken, I apologize. I'm sorry. But that is my reasoning. So do you have a motion to appeal my decision?
Yes.
Point of inquiry, is motion to appeal allowed? I thought you stopped jurors from objecting to question decisions.
This is good to hear. That's very true. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yes,
thank you, Senator Brownwell. So in terms of the whole senator/juror, because we are making the rules as we go, so I do want to just say that I understand that there's confusion and whatnot. I'm not blaming anyone, and I understand there is just disagreement in this whole process. So if senators are, let's say for this scenario, jurors, right?
Yeah.
Would that not mean all of our Senate privileges will be taken away? Therefore, we can't make point of orders. Therefore, we can't make point of inquiries, like and all that. Like you can't take away some privileges and not the others. So my question is, does it make sense to have senators in the room who are elected to have senator privileges and then say, oh, for this case in an impeachment hearing, you're going to act as jurors instead of senators or instead of both? When ideally the reason why the Bureau for putting this whole, the recommendation was before is because Senate had the final say. So therefore we still should be acting as senators. Do you see how it's confusing that
Oh, yes.
you're not allowing?
Yeah, I see how it's confusing, Senator Goodyear. Believe me, I see that. Senator McCracken.
The point I'm trying to make is point of orders, point of inquiries, point of informations, point of personal privileges are interruptive motions to better the knowledge of senators. An actual objection to a question was ceased by the chairman about 2 meetings ago. So the chairman, I'm just gonna.
That is true, Senator McCracken.
I'm reclaiming my time. So the chairman gave me the chairman gave me the time. I'm just gonna speak for a little longer, real quick. So.
Senator McCracken has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So, interruptive motions to better the knowledge of senators, such as point of inquiries and point of informations, those can be used because the chairman didn't end that, but he did specifically say 2 meetings ago that he's ending senators, jurors from objecting to questions. So I'm just following the rules he laid out.
Right. Senator Conway.
I was gonna say the difference between the interruptive motions and the motion to object to one thing or another is because the objection is based on your preferences, your opinion, what you think should and should not happen, versus the interruptive motions are just to gain more information to then make a decision later when we go into debate, when we argue, and then when we vote.
Senator Donovan.
Motion to appeal and objection are 2 different things, because an objection has to do with the nature of the question or the answer.
Yes, Senator Donovan has the floor.
What are we, I don't know, this is,
Yes, Senator Donovan, what is the question? Yes, that is the confusion I have. I laid out the rules, the impeachment hearing rules. I sent them to both the president and the legal counsel. Now, oh, sorry, I sent it to the president and the impeachment manager. Now, let me just finish this, Senator. Let me just finish the way the process went, okay? When I made these hearing rules. I would ask you to bear with me because these never have been made before. I met with Ray and Ms. Nancy, what's the last name, Ray? Ms. Nancy Lortel from Community Standards, and they helped me create rules in which we thought would be the fairest to this body. Now, I realize there are some hiccups. I am not perfect. I am trying to make rules that are fair. So those are the rules that I made. I'm not. Yes, Olivia.
So all I'm saying is that. All I'm saying is that what it seemed like was that in terms of the impeachment hearings, people's roles were modified and switched based on however they saw fit. Senators became jurors, senators became impeachment managers, so on and so forth. So it just seemed like everybody's roles were switched. From my understanding, you set the precedent that we were acting as jurors and not as senators, and that's why we had our objections and all of that revoked. My confusion just goes to, like, if you're gonna say that we're acting as jurors, therefore we should not have any senator privileges. If we're acting as both, then I can see where there's leeway. I just feel like it's kind of. Did we not just let multiple senators speak and they were not making?
Point of order.
That's my point of inquiry. Point of inquiry.
There's a point of order. You recognize it. Is this a point of inquiry? Yes or no?
Wait, Senator Goody, I'm not asking the question.
Point of order.
Get into the question.
Point of order.
Yes, Senator
Mr.
McCracken.
Chairman, you yielded me time to explain,
Yes.
and you yielded your chairman's time to Senator Goodyabi just the same. He's allowed to speak because you're yielding time.
A point of order, not to a point of inquiry. A point of inquiry requests information. That's the statement he's making.
Point of inquiry. Point of inquiry to the vice chairman. Did we not just have Senate chairman allow Tanner to speak, allow Gideon to speak, and then Molly to partially speak?
I'll say this one more time. What are we debating right now?
I made a decision. My decision was that senators cannot object to answering questions. That is my decision.
So why are we still talking about this?
That is my decision. Thank you. Let us go on. That is my decision. That is my decision. No.
can object and then we approach the bench.
Yes. Objection, not a testimony.
I'm not a right now.
Yes.
And that's when we approach the bench, right? So when council objects, we approach the bench, and that's the only objection allowed.
Yeah, the objection is only allowed to myself or Louis report. Alright? Okay, move on. Thank you. Let us move on. No, move on to that question.
Okay.
Okay.
Question, does anybody in here know about being a paralegal and how you go about taking the exam? I need a job after graduation. I'm not
The one that they asked that got
Director of Academic Affairs, Michelle, I have a question.
No, it's okay. I'm just taking a breather and remembering my mom's meditation. Hallelujah. There's a motion to resume the questioning. Seconded by Senator Ose. Any objections? No objections. We resuming. Please resume, Madam President.
How many questions do they have left? Two? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Looking at the Board of Finance report and the credit card purchases listed in it, do you think that those purchases were done in attempt to uphold the president's duty?
As those purchases were done in an attempt to uphold the president's duty.
You can answer some best of your ability.
I would say yes, but I wouldn't say all of the things that I saw in the report. Mainly one thing I saw like an inmate call, and personally, I don't know where that came from, and I don't think that's like anything to do with SA, so.
I don't think. Didn't that the rule we just made that they can't? You know, just strike that from the minute.
She was given that information from a senator, though. They just told her to make that motion.
They didn't tell me nothing. No, they did not.
So. All right, strike the last one.
So the only thing you said was yes. That's the only thing right now.
She asked to strike it.
No, she said nothing the last part. She said the last part about the end.
Yes.
But he said something prior to that.
Yes, that's allowed. That's good.
He said yes, and then he
He
said.
said that some things were suspicious, like the inmate call.
Yeah, so we're
He said
striking
the
that.
only thing that was suspicious.
Can you
clarify his answer, please?
All right. I'll allow you a chance to qualify your answer.
Yes, the only thing that looked like very suspicious to me that made me like highlight it when I went through the thing was. Okay, all right.
That's a point of order.
Yes, or jurors telling a witness how to answer this question.
That was an answer. You have one more question. So you just allow them to say it. All right. You have one more question.
I don't want to say nothing that you just end up deleting. I don't want you to work for nothing.
Answer the question. I would say to the best of your ability. You have one more question, Madam.
First day out here.
Can we clarify the question with you before we ask it?
You can ask it.
After that, yeah.
Then I wanted to get on camera.
No. So if you have to reword it, you can reword it.
Yeah.
It still counts as your
But if I can't reword it, does that mean I don't get my question?
No, you can still get it after another question.
Okay. Do you believe that the student association, student body would benefit from the president's impeachment?
Objection.
I could call, don't answer that question, Mr. Johnson. Can the legal counsel and then human manager
So first off, I'd like to apologize for being a liar and saying that this would probably be the last day of the impeachment trials, because clearly it's not going to be the last day. So that's fine.
I'm not talking to nobody. I was speaking out loud. Like, I said, but when I told somebody
Madam President, you have a chance to reword that question. Yes, citizen. You have the jurisdiction to do that. Ask your last question, please. Ask your last question, Madam President.
Okay. There I go. Okay. So looking at and evaluating your position in the Student Association as a director and the events that are held, do you think it is beneficial for the Student Association to allow the Vice President and other individuals to have a credit card? Please elaborate.
Okay, Mr. John. You can answer that question. I'm trying to, you want me to repeat it? 'Cause I
do, but I have a question, but I don't think I can do that, so.
Yeah. So, repeat the question one more time, because I'm trying to understand.
So knowing as a director and you've had relations with your colleagues, knowing the responsibilities, programs, etc. that you have, do you believe it is beneficial to the Student Association operations to have the Vice President or other members to have more than one credit card, or more than the credit cards that we have in the Student Association currently? Would that be beneficial to operations? Please elaborate why.
Do you believe it's beneficial for anyone, for other members of the executive branch to have a credit card, and elaborate? Did I get that? Yeah. Okay.
I would like to say, to the best of my ability with answering this question, I believe credit cards for other officers within the Student Association office with their respective names on the credit cards would actually provide some more clarification when looking at credit card reports, and that would be beneficial to the Student Association because there would be more clarity when actually reviewing who purchased what, when, and the responsibility of said credit cards given to certain representative officers within the Student Association.
That was your final question?
Thank you.
All right, so
All right, we got to reset the live stream.
Can you just pass the
We'll be right back.
microphone